let's dig into this more with NewsNation legal analyst Jesse Weber. Jesse, thanks for being with us. House Democrats obviously trying to smoke out whoever bailed out Congressman Santos. But why do lawmakers and the American people need to know this information? Is it political influence at risk here?
I think it's a matter of public interest, and this is not just any kind of defendant. I don't think we would see this kind of issue about revealing the names if it was somebody else. But we saw a very similar issue with Sam Bankman-Fried. He was trying to keep the identities of his sureties under wraps. That didn't work for him. They were revealed. And you have George Santos, who's already in this kind of predicament. He's a member of the public trust. And the idea that he might have secured influence by somebody, if these backers, he provided something to them in exchange for backing his bond, or whether or not he received the bond and it was an improper, unethical gift, which is something that the Congressional Committee is looking at. That's a matter of public interest because he is in the public eye and he is representing a significant amount of people in New York. So I think that what the judge decided initially and what was ultimately the district court judge agreed with, it makes sense that these names have to be revealed.
Yeah. Does it violate House gift rules? And at $500,000, yeah, it is certainly the center of public interest right now. As Nick reported, Santos's attorney has come out and said Santos would rather go to pretrial detention, go to jail, than to reveal who these sources are today. Jesse, any chance he sticks to his word on that, or do we see these names unsealed?
Marky, call me crazy, but when George Santos makes such a strong claim, I have to take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. Call me crazy on that. But I think it's tough talk. But look, practically, if he decides to withdraw the names and he doesn't have any other further backers and the bail conditions are not changed, if it's still $500,000 and he can't put it up, practically, he would face pretrial detainment. Now, I don't think it's going to get there. I think, again, this is kind of tough talk. Maybe he has entered into agreement with other backers to come forward to secure the bond who don't mind to be publicly released. Maybe he has spoken with the people who've already put up the bond and said that they don't mind their names being released. Or maybe he can make a passionate argument to the court that he shouldn't have to face pretrial detainment. And
Jesse, talk to me about that. You know, I was reading yesterday that one of the guarantors backed out amidst the ensuing media frenzy, and it was possible the others could follow. This is why we have you on. I'm not a legal mind. What exactly does that mean if Santos has already been bailed out?
Yeah, look, so they don't want their identities revealed, and it's their choice. If they decide, hey, listen, I was going to back you, but I thought my name was going to be anonymous, they have every right to back out and leave Santos on the hook. Now, of course, there is this competing House Congressional Committee investigation, which I think is important, right? So even if their names are backed up and there's no protection put forward by the court, that House committee theoretically could get their names and find out why they backed him and who they are. Now, it's a question of whether or not the House would actually release those names to the public. But at this point, they might be second guessing their decision to back such a controversial figure like George Santos.
Okay. Well, Jesse Weber, thanks so much. We'll see if these names are unsealed, if this is all tough talk from George Santos. We'll stay tuned, and I'm sure have you back on soon. Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.